Hey, it's Pastor Joe, lead pastor at Markham Woods Presbyterian Church, offering you a little bit of a devotion today on this Thursday. Bit cloudy out, starting to rain again in Florida. That's good. Maybe it'll wash away the coronavirus, right? So as I was seated in my office today, I began thinking about all the effects that the coronavirus has had on us. And we could all probably make a big list and chart out the difficulties and the change of plans we've had to make, maybe different plans for work, maybe different plans for vacation. All of these things have sort of gotten shifted. One of the things that got shifted for us at Markham Woods Presbyterian Church was a trip to the Holy Land. We had that scheduled for last April, and we had a big group all ready to go. We got, many of you know, we got within weeks of ready to depart. And what happened in April? The big coronavirus lockdowns began all over, not just our country, all over the world, in fact, so Israel was closed to us. Well, we set new dates out, and guess what happened again? Right? The spike continues and we push the date out. Well, we have a brand new date, and this is so, maybe it's just a God thing. Our dates end up being the original dates we had before, way back in April. So we have some new dates coming up for our Holy Land trip. It's April 30th through May 11th, and that's of 2021. I know, wow, sounds way out there, but it's not. It'll be coming soon. So as I started thinking about our new trip, and we locked in the new dates and trying to see who's going to kind of transfer with us into those new dates, I thought I'd do have some fun with us today, just to bring some joy to you, I hope, amidst what is a cloudy and beginning to rainy day here. So I have some artifacts. I like to collect things on my trips, and for those of you who have never been to the Holy Land, it is a wonderful, life-changing experience. I tell people, you'll never read the Bible the same again. It actually just brings so much more life into what we're reading. I can't even describe it to you. I tell people, but basically I have to say, you just have to go. You have to go and you have to experience it, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So I brought some things here as a reminder, things I bring back, and I wanted to show them to you today. So first of all, often you can pick up these little lamps, and I actually have some oil. We went to a place that was pressing olive oil, and so we each got a little bottle of olive oil in our little lamp, and I've gone multiple times, so I've gotten multiple lamps. So I have these all over my house. They're just little reminders of how folks would just sit and read and maybe have a conversation around just the light of the lamp. Also, we go and visit the Garden Tomb. And in the Garden Tomb, one of the highlights of the Garden Tomb is having communion. Now, there's, some little controversy over whether the Garden Tomb is the actual tomb of Jesus. It doesn't really matter. It does give us a good example of what a tomb would have looked like, and we actually get to go inside. It's quite powerful and moving, and so then we have communion. Well, when you go and have communion, you have it in these little cups. So each time I've gone, I've brought back the cups. So I'm getting quite a collection of these little communion cups from the visit to the Garden Tomb. Then we travel down to the south near the Dead Sea, kind of the area where you read the stories about King David. And while we were hiking back to David's waterfall, there happened to be a tree there. And this branch, I did not break it off from the tree. It was on the ground. But as you'll see, these big thorns. So I picked this up and I brought it back home, and I twisted up my own crown of thorns. So don't know if this is exactly the thorn bush or tree where they got the thorns they put on Jesus's head. They actually think it's called a spina Christi, the Christ thorn. But this to me was a great reminder, and it was just laying there under a tree as we were walking back to En Gedi, that area. Then of course, there's the reaffirmation of baptismal vows. This is my good buddy, Pastor Leon, on our very first trip, where we actually, after we did reaffirmation of baptismal vows for everyone else, we actually got to do that to each other. And again, quite a moving experience, something everybody that goes on our trip gets to do. And what many people also do is bring back Jordan River water. I know my container here isn't so great, but sometimes you take what you can get. But so you bring back Jordan River water as a reminder, but we also put a drop of this water when we do baptisms here. So there's a bit of that Jordan River when we're doing baptisms here at the church. If you'd like to go on our trip, you can go to our website. There's a link there that takes you to Samson Tours, or you can go to samsontours.com and look for the trip with Pastor Joe and Pastor Leon, or just call the church and talk with us. We'll tell you all about it. But so I leave you with something a little more today. As I brought back my collection and I started thinking about showing this to you, it just reminded me of how important a lamp is right now when we're feeling a little darkness with the turmoil in our country over so many different issues. Sometimes we need to be reminded that there is a light in the world. And you remember in the Old Testament it talks about God's word being a light unto our feet. And then Jesus builds on that, and Jesus actually claims this title. He says, I'm the light of the world. When I pick up the cup, I'm reminded of that upper room, which we also visit in the old city of Jerusalem. But in that upper room where he took that cup and he talked about the salvation that would come through the blood of his blood, the blood of Christ that would bring life. And we know that blood was representative of life. And so sometimes we need a little more life poured into us. And so maybe the cup today can remind you a bit of the life of Christ being poured in. And of course there's the water. And in Israel, water is so key. It's another symbol of life. And we know for us, it's also a symbol of rebirth. When we talk about baptisms or reaffirmation of baptismal vows, it's about being reborn with new perspectives, new purpose, new hope. And today, we need all of those things. We need that sense of rebirth. We want to be reborn out of this, the crisis that we're in, and into a new kind of life. And the amazing thing is that's offered to us even right now. We don't have to wait. You don't have to go to Israel and bring back Jordan River water to have that available to you. So I hope maybe these things can help remind you today of a light when times are dark, of the water of life. Jesus said, I offer you living water, right? Bubbling up, overflowing. That means fresh spring water, not just water in a river, but just that pure, cooling water. He offers life in the blood. So all those things are reminders. So I hope maybe you'll go with us on this trip in April, the 30th of April to the 11th of May, and you can bring back your own reminders that you can look at daily. I keep these on my shelf in my office here, and I just look at them daily as a way to remind me of God's presence and to the extent at which God would go in his Son, Jesus Christ, to reach us with light, with living water, with renewing blood, all these things. So a bit of a kind of a devotion and kind of a marketing aspect I'm giving you today. I'd love for you to go. I'd love for you to have that life-changing experience that really is so unique to walking in the Holy Land. So give us a call if you want to know more about it, or visit the website.